How are you doing? Bill DeWeese here, voice for such brands as Warner Brothers, Microsoft, John Deere, Alamo Car Rental, Cisco, American Express, and National Geographic. Also, high-performance talent coach, voiceover talent coach in the areas of performance and in business growth, growing, cultivating, keeping clients, and making sure that your voiceover business is your primary business, your full-time job, and a growing career. And I want to talk to you about a little bit of business today, and it has to do with collecting the money once you've done the job. You know, it's one thing to do the job, to invoice for it, but as you well know, it's another thing to actually collect that money. How do you make sure that you get the money that you've earned? Well, that's a good question, and there are ways to help ensure that. Now, over the past 3 years, my collections have averaged 99.7%. Now, a little quick math will tell you that means that 0.3% or 0.3% of what I invoice or bill, I do not collect. Now, to put that in even better perspective, that means out of every $100,000 of work that I do and that I bill, only 300 out of every 100,000 do I not collect. Now, how can you make sure that your collections are good? Because make no mistake, you have to mind the business of the voiceover business if you want to be successful. And there are some things that you can do to help ensure that you get the money that you have earned. First of all, make sure that you invoice quickly after completion of the job or after approval from the client. There are a couple of reasons for this. Number one is nobody likes to get their bills. Well, I shouldn't say nobody. There probably are some people that really appreciate not receiving a bill for 6 months to a year afterwards. But most people who are fairly responsible with paying their bills want it promptly. And if it comes later, months later, 6 months, a year later, then chances are they won't feel inclined to pay you quickly if they even remember what it was that they hired you to do in the first place. But the greater reason is this. People are more prone to pay when they have a good feeling about what just happened. In other words, you've just finished a job, the client is satisfied, they are happy with what you did. By invoicing them then at that moment, A, they will better remember, it'll be top of mind, and B, they're happy that they've done work with somebody, that they like the work that you've given them, and they want to make sure they keep you happy because they may want to use you again. So again, they're more prone to pay quickly when you invoice quickly. Same thing for referrals, by the way, as a side note, and that is after a job has been completed, satisfactory for a client is the best time to ask for a referral. So number one, do it quickly. Number two, be persistent. But be professional and friendly. I mean, let's face it, times are tough right now in the economy and in business, and cash flow is not so great in many businesses. And I know a lot of my clients struggle to pay on time or to pay quickly. And most do pay within 30 days, which is what I ask. But sometimes they, for whatever reason, they can't. And the way that I make sure that I get my money is not by threatening, but it's simply by being persistent, but being professional and friendly while I do that. Every 30 days, I send a reminder to my clients who are overdue, along with the attached overdue invoice. And I always work under the assumption that perhaps, again, cash flow isn't great, although I may not actually express that, but that's basically the attitude that I'm communicating to them, is that they intend to pay it, but for whatever reason, maybe they just haven't been able to, maybe it's been overlooked. Oftentimes what happens is that between the creative department and the accounting department, there's a communication breakdown, and things just aren't communicated or handled properly, and the ball is dropped, and the accounting department just never actually receives the invoice. But by being persistent and following up, at least every 30 days, giving them the invoice that's overdue, I normally will get the money that's due me by doing that. Again, maybe not within 30 days, but soon thereafter. So that's number two. Number three, make yourself a valuable partner. The more valuable you are to your client, the more likely they are to pay you and to pay you on time. Because as I mentioned earlier, they want to keep, people that like you and like to work with you will want to keep a good working relationship with you. And one of the best ways that I've found to be valuable to my clients is to be prompt. That has been the number one thing that clients, the feedback they have given me is that they appreciate promptness. And sometimes I'll just be downright fast if they need it. And as you know, in this business, many of our clients are working under tight deadlines. And if you can turn it around quick, great, but at least within the agreed time. If you say 24 hours, if you say 48 hours, make sure you deliver within that time frame, because clients know they can count on you and they appreciate it. And when you make yourself a valuable partner, a client is more likely not to allow that invoice to sit unpaid for long periods of time. And fourth, and this gets a little more into the touchy-feely parts of stuff, whereas the other was a little more operational, and that is your attitude. Your attitude should always be that your client intends to pay, because the truth is most of them do intend to pay. Are there crooks and are there rip-off artists out there? Sure, there are in any area. There will always be those kind of people. Are most people like that? Absolutely not. Most of your clients have every intention of paying you, but for whatever reason, and the reasons can be many, they haven't. So don't treat them with suspicion or treat them as if they are a criminal, because again, if you can cultivate a relationship, you will continue to get work with them, and they'll continue, I'm sure, to try to work with you and paying you promptly or as promptly as they can. But I have seen voiceover talent who have, or I've heard stories from voiceover talent who have shared the fact that they literally harass their clients if they don't pay, like almost immediately. They will be on the telephone and they will be nagging, and if it's not paid within 30 days, they will be threatening to call their attorney. Rarely do those kind of tactics work, at least in the long run. Again, keep in mind, 99.7% collection rate is what I have with my clients, and it's by treating them with respect and by being professional and being persistent. I expect my clients to pay me, and they do expect to pay, but I don't treat them as if they're criminals, as if they don't intend to pay me. And that attitude and everything that I do lets them know that I consider them to be a valuable partner with me as well. And I do keep my clients for long periods of time. And as I said, they do pay. And when they can't pay on time, they do pay eventually. So if you want to get a higher collection rate and make sure that that most of the work that you do, you actually end up being paid for, just keep those things in mind. Be persistent, be on time, invoice quickly, and always with the attitude that your client is a valuable partner and they will treat you the same in return. And you will get your money. They will show you the money. Hey, I wish you all the best in your voiceover business, and for resources and help along the way, please visit www.voice-over-training.org. We'll talk to you soon.